What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. And today I don't have any tournaments to review, but I do have this opportunity to make a video that I've kind of wanted to make for a few weeks now. And it's an opportunity to talk about two of my favourite things in the entire world. The first being Neil Robertson, and the second being the World Snooker Championship. Unfortunately, though, it's a video where I'm going to have to look at the consequences of Neil's poor run of form over the past sort of 12 or so months, and the very real likelihood this will have on him not making it to the Crucible this year. Now, anyone who follows snooker throughout the whole season will be fully aware of Neil's recent struggles, coming off the back of his best ever season as a professional, where he won 4 titles, including the Masters. His form has just completely fallen off of a cliff. The start of last season was decent. He reached 3 ranking semi-finals, and he also won the mixed doubles tournament. But it was once we got into 2023 that his form really took a nosedive. And if you look at his form from January to December 2023, if we exclude the Championship League, he won a grand total of 12 matches. And he failed to make it past the last 16 of any ranking tournament whatsoever. In fact, his only real notable performance of any kind was at the Shanghai Masters back in September, where he made the semi-finals. But that was an invitational event, so it makes no impact to his ranking points. And sort of just to underline how bad last year was for him, it was the first calendar year since 2005 that he had not won a single tournament of any description. And I'm sure that's a record that I know will have pained him a lot to lose hold of. And really, it is that horrendous 2023 which has left him in this uncharted position, somewhere he's not really found himself in his past, or the best part of the last 20 years as a professional. Now, if you were to look at the current world rankings, you'll see that he's currently ranked 7th. And you'd probably be forgiven for thinking, well, what is all the fuss about? How can someone 7th in the rankings be in any danger of falling outside of the top 16 with only a few months left until Sheffield? However, this ranking is quite misleading, and it's mainly misleading due to the fact that he won both the Players' Championships and the Tour Championships 2 years ago, which are two of the biggest payouts in snooker. I think from winning both of them, he won in excess of £300,000. But that money is set to come off, and it's going to come off over the next couple of months. And when it does, he will provisionally fall to 30th in the rankings by the time the World Championships comes around, which would leave him with the unenviable task of needing to win at least 2 qualifying matches just to make it to the Crucible. But the biggest issue for Neil undoubtedly is time, because he is rapidly running out of it. There are only 3 guaranteed ranking tournaments left for him this season to pick up points, and those are this week's German Masters, he's got the Welsh Open next month, and then there's also the World Open out in China. There are 2 other tournaments, the Players' Championship and the Tour Championships. Both of them are ranking tournaments as well. But to qualify for them, you need to be in the top 16 and the top 8 on the 1-year list respectively. And quite shockingly, really, Neil is currently 88th on that list. So you'd have to think for him to have any chance of getting into either one of those, he's going to have to win a tournament, probably either in Germany or in Wales. And look, Neil's an amazing player. It's not beyond the realms of possibility that he turns up somewhere, turns it on, and wins a tournament. But as was very evident, painfully evident, I should say really, at the Masters, his game is a long, long way off the standards set by, O'Sullivan, Trump and co. And that is the standards that is currently required to pick up trophies this season. And it's going to take a massive effort for him just to find that switch, which has been missing for so long. And so, yeah, that is the position, unfortunately, that Neil Robertson finds himself in. After making his Crucible debut as a qualifier back in 2005, he has been a seeded player at the World Championship every single year since 2006. But that is a record that is under serious threat now. And I'd say more concerningly, from a fan's point of view, is that if he does end up at the qualifiers, which is looking more and more likely that he will, I'm not entirely convinced he'll make it through them. Recently I've seen, Ding be at the qualifiers and make it. But even look at last year, look at Barry Hawkins. He ended up outside the top 16. He ended up in the qualifiers. And for the first time in about 15 years, he failed to qualify. It's incredibly tough in there. And yeah, if he does end up at the qualifiers, I'm just not entirely convinced he'll make it through them. 2 best of 19s minimum in a leisure centre in front of, okay, there are fans for the qualifiers, but it's hardly comparable to playing at the Crucible. I don't think that's going to sound massively desirable to Neil. And in fact, if he does continue to struggle in the manner that he has been for the past 12 months, he could slip even further down the rankings by the time the qualifiers come around. And he could slip to a place where he'd have to win 3 qualifiers. He wouldn't be a seed between 17 and 32. He'd be outside of that, having to win 3 best of 19s and guaranteed to have to play someone big like, you could play like an Anthony McGill or a Ryan Day, which would just be an even tougher route than it already is. And whilst, look, I'm sure there's many of you that might be watching this with interest and thinking, the idea of Neil potentially qualifying and then drawing someone like, Sullivan or a Trump or a Selby in the first round, that sounds very appetizing. I am really very much hoping for a miracle over the next couple of months to ensure that this does not happen. But yeah, in summary, that is the big hole that the Aussie finds himself in, and it's the big hole that he's going to need to try and find a way out of. As always, please let me know in the comments what you think. Can Neil rescue this situation, or is his fate at the qualifiers all but sealed? My optimism can only last for so long, so any optimistic comments genuinely would be massively welcomed, just for my state of mind. But yeah, thank you as always for watching, and I'll be back same time next week to review the German Masters.